It applies to people. Here we're looking at the difference before this young lady decided to lean herself out, and here she is now after she streamlined. Now, a lean person is thin. I think you really like the streamlined person a lot better than you do the skinny person. Now, what are we talking about? Why do companies want to streamline? Well, about 28% of the companies we've talked to will streamline because of competitive pressure. 24%, they really feel the need to reduce costs. So these are the percentages of what we're seeing. You can see there's many good reasons why companies should consider streamlining, and this is the companies that we're working with have actually the motivation that they're working to. Typical examples of improvement: output quality improved 100%. Overhead costs reduced 30 to 50%. Cycle time reduced 40 to 60%. Lead time reduced from weeks to hours. So there's huge benefits. Capacity building up from 40 to 60%. So when we start streamlining, there's a great deal of value to the company as well as value to the end stakeholders, and that's what we're really looking at. How do you get that total value? We're going to use a system that we're going to call PASIC, P-A-S-I-C, standing for Plan, Analysis, Streamline, Implement, and Continuously Improve. And truly, you've got to have all of it. You cannot have a process that you roll out and you don't focus on continuously maintaining the gains that you have. So that you need the whole 5 phases if you're going to move forward. And again, this applies. Here's the difference in an individual from before and after he's streamlined. We've got a lot to cover today. I'm really going to focus on the center one, the streamline process itself, because it's the heart. But I'm going to hit some of the other ones because each phase is very, very important. The first phase we're looking at here is planning. And truly, here's the important phase, when you truly select the right process. And it's usually the executive team that really needs to do that. The next thing is you need to select a process owner, somebody that's going to be responsible. The processes we're talking about flows across functions, and nobody owns them. Where we have the big problems is in the handoffs, in between the processes. And everybody's trying to optimize their part of it, but nobody's worried about the total. You need to establish the boundaries, the actual boundaries. And here we go a little bit farther than what you've been thinking about in the past. We normally think about beginning and ending boundaries, but here we actually establish what we call boxing in the process. You have a beginning boundary and an ending boundary, but you also have to have an upper boundary and a lower boundary. The upper boundary is things that come into the process, points along through the process, and the lower boundary is things that go out of the process. What we actually do is we have a building block, and when we start looking at our processes, these building blocks all fit together to manage our business. And so the building blocks are very important. So you box in the process, you select the team that's going to work on it, and we're going to call it a PIT team, a process improvement team. You bring them in, you train them. From there on, you establish your charter for the organization, how you're going to measure it, and with Streamline process was 3 major measures: efficiency, effectiveness, and adaptability. And I want to emphasize adaptability because we've missed adaptability in most of our thinking. If you look at Six Sigma, they talk about efficiency and effectiveness. But adaptability is what allows you to adapt to the changing environment. And when you design your processes, you've got to look for the future. You've got to be able to adapt to that customer that says, hey, I need a special thing to happen. So adaptability, a very important measurement that we've been missing. Also, in our project planning here, we really got to talk about how we're going to manage the change in a process. Now, basically, the difference between SPI, Streamline Process Improvement, and Six Sigma. Six Sigma, to be certified as a Six Sigma Black Belt, you have to master 280 plus different tools. That's the body of knowledge that you have to master. SPC, the SPY, it's only 37 tools, so it's much faster, much easier for us to come in. And out of that, 13 of the tools are pre-tools. These are the things that everybody should know. Brainstorming, how to work as a team. And all your organizations should already be trained in that. I call that pre-training because I look at 100% of your organization to be there. There are 12 fundamental tools that we use in SPY. And then there are, all the process improvement team has to understand those 12 fundamental tools. And there are 12 sophisticated tools which an individual project will use maybe one or two of the sophisticated tools, so only the process leader needs to know all of them. So much a simpler process, a much more direct process, and it's focused purely upon making process step function improvement rather than minimizing total. Now, I've mentioned that change is management, a very important facet. And really there are three different, I'll say, levels of impact that a change will have on your organization. The first order impact is when you've got a change that's just the technology and a task. Very simple, one line, little impact upon the culture of the organization, and that's the task impact. Now, when you add people to that, you can see you're getting a little more complex. You got a three-way interface, so you get a little more complex, and that's the second order. Now, the third order, and this is really what's happening when we start talking about quality changes that we're working with, and certainly when we start taking these major processes, and here we're looking at a cultural change, a structural change, and this is what we're really talking about. And look at the complexity of this change impact upon your organization. And this is the reason that in all cases you've got to have a very, very good organizational change management concept. And this is a very important facet of SPY. Hammer and Champion on page 217 in the book that I bought from them points out that only 50 to 70% of the re-engineering attempts fail to deliver the intended drastic results. Here's a person that's writing a book and telling you that if you follow my method, 70% of the time you're not going to get the results. And this was something that we really bought into. And I happened to be working with Ernst & Young at the time as their international quality advisor, and we were doing re-engineering. And we were getting about 63% success rate. But when we added to it organizational change management, that jumped well over 90%. Organizational change management, absolutely an essential part of what we're doing, and that's one of the major problems that we have today in the fact that we're having such drastic turn down in some of the initiatives that we've been doing in the quality initiatives to bring about improvement.